Welcome back to the channel. Have you ever given someone your whole life only to discover they were using your devotion as a convenient background for their own story? And have you ever wondered what happens to a heart when the person it trusted most suddenly rewrites the past and labels you as the villain? Tonight I want to tell you a story about betrayal, rebirth, and the thin line between justice and poison. It is a story about karma in the most practical sense, the momentum created by what we repeat. It is a story about wisdom, because wisdom is not only knowing what is true, it is seeing what your pain is trying to teach you. And it is a story about compassion, because compassion is the only force strong enough to prevent a wounded heart from becoming a weapon. Our story begins with a woman named Evelyn Hart. Evelyn is the kind of person people describe as steady. She is not dramatic. She is not loud. She is not the type to demand attention. She is the type to show up, to cook when someone is sick, to remember the details others forget, to keep promises even when nobody is watching. For 50 years, Evelyn built a life with a man named Gregory. Their marriage was not a fairy tale, but it was real in the way many long marriages are real. Work, family obligation, quiet routines, shared jokes, shared losses, shared years. The kind of life that does not look glamorous to strangers but feels sacred because it is woven from daily loyalty. Evelyn did not think of herself as extraordinary. She simply believed in commitment. She believed love was not only a feeling. She believed love was practice. Gregory, in the early years, seemed to believe the same. He was charming, ambitious, and socially smooth. He liked being admired. Evelyn noticed it, but she did not see it as dangerous at first. She thought it was simply personality. She thought it was harmless. That was her first mistake. Not trusting him, but underestimating the hunger behind charm. As decades passed, Gregory became more involved in public life. Events, professional circles. The kind of circles where appearances become currency. Evelyn supported him. She attended dinners. She smiled politely. She learned the art of being present without demanding spotlight. She told herself she was being a good partner, and in many ways, she was. But good partnership can become self-erasure when it is built on the assumption that your role is to hold the background while someone else plays the lead. Evelyn did not notice the slow shift in her own nervous system. How she began bracing before social events. How she started rehearsing conversations to avoid embarrassing Gregory. How she began swallowing small disappointments because she did not want to be inconvenient. How she began apologizing for needs that weren't normal. She thought this was maturity. In truth, it was adaptation to imbalance. The betrayal did not arrive as one dramatic confession. Betrayal rarely does. It arrived as small inconsistencies that Evelyn tried to ignore because she did not want to destroy the story she had built her life on. Late meetings, odd silences, a phone turned face down, a different cologne, a sudden interest in looking younger, a strange defensiveness when Evelyn asked simple questions. Evelyn noticed, but she did what loyal people sometimes do. She protected the relationship by protecting the illusion. Then a family event forced the truth into the open. It was a celebration for a relative, a gathering where many people who knew Gregory were present. Evelyn wore a simple, elegant outfit and arrived with the quiet confidence of someone who had stood beside her husband for half a century. People greeted her with polite respect, some with genuine warmth, some with the forced smile of people who know something you do not. Evelyn felt it before she understood it. That subtle shift in the air. The way conversations paused when she walked into a room. The way people avoided her eyes for a second too long. The way certain smiles looked like pity. Pity is a cold wind. It does not shout, but it chills. During the event, a woman approached Gregory. The woman was younger than Evelyn by decades. Dressed with careful glamour. Carrying herself with the confidence of someone who believes she belongs. She touched Gregory's arm with familiarity. Gregory laughed softly. The woman laughed too, and the laugh was intimate. Evelyn felt her stomach drop. She watched Gregory introduce the woman to others as if this was normal. He did not introduce her as a colleague. He did not clearly define the relationship. He let people assume what they would. Evelyn noticed that people did not look surprised. They looked resigned, like they had seen this scene forming for a long time. Evelyn walked closer and said calmly, "Who is she?" Gregory looked at her with a strange expression. Not guilt, not tenderness, but irritation. Irritation is what people show when they are caught and still want control. He said, "This is Clara." Evelyn waited. Gregory did not add anything. Clara smiled at Evelyn with a smile that was too sweet. She said, "It is nice to finally meet you." Finally. That word cut deeper than any insult. Evelyn asked again, "Who is she?" Gregory exhaled as if Evelyn was being inconvenient. Then he said something that shattered her in a way. She did not know a sentence could shatter a person. He said, "She is with me. And honestly, people are going to find out sooner or later. So we might as well stop pretending." Evelyn stood still. The room blurred. She felt her heart pounding as if it wanted to escape her chest. She felt heat in her face. She felt the instinct to cry. But she also felt another instinct. Harsher. A survival instinct that says do not give them the satisfaction. She said quietly, "You are married to me." Gregory shrugged and said, "Marriage is complicated." Complicated. That word is another mask. People use it to cover selfishness. Evelyn turned to look at the people around them. Some looked away. Some looked uncomfortable. Some looked curious in the way people look when they are watching a crash. That curiosity is another form of cruelty. It turns suffering into spectacle. Then Clara said the sentence that changed everything. Clara said, "You know, I did not want to be the other woman. But he told me you two have not really been together for years. He told me you were basically roommates. He told me you knew and accepted it." Evelyn stared at Gregory. Gregory did not deny it. In that moment, Evelyn realized the betrayal was not only the affair. The betrayal was the narrative. Gregory had been rewriting her marriage into a story where Evelyn was not a partner, but an obstacle. He had been portraying her as the leftover wife, the background figure, the one who should quietly accept being replaced. Worse, he had been positioning Clara as the real love story. Evelyn felt a wave of rage. But beneath the rage was grief so deep it felt like the floor of her life disappeared. She left the event without making a scene. People sometimes think the strongest response is loud confrontation. Sometimes it is. But Evelyn was not trying to win a public battle. She was trying to survive an internal collapse. At home that night, she sat at the kitchen table where she had spent decades feeding a family, making plans, holding worries, counting finances, laughing at small jokes. She looked at her hands. She remembered every sacrifice that had seemed meaningful because it was offered into a shared life. Now she realized she had been feeding a story that Gregory stopped respecting long ago. When Gregory came home later, he did not apologize. He acted as if Evelyn should accept the new reality. He said it was time to be practical. He said he had needs. He said he deserved happiness. He said he did not want to fight. He said many words that sounded reasonable if you ignore the fact that they were built on betrayal. Evelyn asked, "How long?" Gregory said, "Does it matter?" It mattered. Because the length of betrayal is not measured only in time. It is measured in how many moments you lived inside a lie. Evelyn asked again, "How long?" Gregory admitted it had been years. Years. Evelyn felt something inside her go quiet. Not calm. Not peace. A dangerous quiet. The quiet of a heart closing to protect itself. She went to bed and did not sleep. She stared at the ceiling and realized she had two choices. She could become consumed by revenge, letting anger burn her into someone she did not recognize. Or she could become clear. Clarity is not softness. Clarity is the beginning of wisdom. The next morning, Evelyn did something Gregory did not expect. She became organized. She gathered documents. She reviewed accounts. She spoke to an attorney. She quietly made plans. She did not scream. She did not beg. She did not bargain. She began moving like someone who finally sees reality. That terrified Gregory more than tears would have. Tears make you feel powerful because you can dismiss them. Clarity makes you feel exposed because you cannot argue with it. Evelyn also did something else. Something that looked strange to people around her. She began learning. She realized that for years she had been living as support for Gregory. And in doing so, she had postponed parts of herself. She had postponed dream. She had postponed curiosity. She had postponed skill building because she thought her role was already set. Now, with her life collapsing, she discovered a truth that becomes the seed of her rebirth. When an old identity dies, you can either cling to it and suffer, or you can let it die and be reborn into something truer. Evelyn chose rebirth. Now, the story uses the word reborn young, and people love to interpret that as magical time travel. But the deeper meaning is more realistic and more powerful. You can become young again in spirit. You can become young again in learning. You can become young again in courage. You can become young again in the willingness to start from the beginning. Evelyn decided to pursue something she had secretly wanted when she was younger. Medicine. When she was a teenager, she had been fascinated by the body. She loved biology. She loved the idea that you could relieve suffering with knowledge and steady hands. But life had pulled her into other obligations. Work, family, responsibilities. The dream became a quiet regret. Now, after betrayal, the regret became fuel. Not revenge fuel. Awakening fuel. People laughed when they heard what she planned. They said she was too old. They said it was unrealistic. They said it was a midlife crisis. They said she should just enjoy retirement. Evelyn listened and smiled politely. Then she did the work anyway. The beginning was humbling. She had to take prerequisites. She had to sit in classrooms with students young enough to be her grandchildren. She had to learn new technology. She had to be corrected. She had to feel slow again. Slow is painful for a person who has spent decades being competent. But slow is also pure. Slow means you are learning. Slow means you are becoming. Every night, Evelyn studied, not with frantic desperation, but with steady devotion. She treated her studies like meditation, one page at a time, one concept at a time. When she felt discouraged, she reminded herself of something she had learned the hard way. If I could survive 50 years of sacrifice, I can survive the discomfort of rebuilding. She also noticed something else. The more she studied, the calmer her nervous system became. Not because she forgot betrayal, but because she was no longer trapped in it. Betrayal is a cage when your mind keeps circling the same pain without a path forward. Learning created a path forward. This is karma in action. What you feed grows. If you feed rage alone, rage grows. If you feed purpose, purpose grows. If you feed dignity, dignity grows. Evelyn chose what to feed. Gregory, meanwhile, continued living his new life. He moved in with Clara part-time. He tried to present it as a smooth transition. He tried to avoid consequences by controlling the story. He told people Evelyn was difficult. He told people the marriage had been dead. He told people he had been trapped. That is what selfishness does. It paints itself as a victim. But karma is patient. Clara, who thought she was winning, began discovering that a man who lies to a wife will also lie to a partner. At first, she dismissed the warning signs. She told herself she was special. She told herself he would be honest with her because he loved her. Then she found messages on his phone. Not necessarily a new affair, but flirtations, lies, hidden conversation. The pattern repeated. Clara confronted him. Gregory acted offended. He said she was paranoid. He said she was insecure. He said she was ruining their happiness. Clara felt the same confusion Evelyn felt. This is a karmic pattern too. When you build love on betrayal, you build it on unstable ground. The ground keeps shifting. At the same time, Gregory began feeling threatened by Evelyn's transformation. He expected her to collapse. He expected her to beg. He expected her to become bitter and small. Instead, she was becoming focused, educated, and quietly powerful. His ego could not tolerate that. He began trying to sabotage her emotionally. He would call and say cruel things. He would mock her dream. He would say she was pretending. He would say she would fail. He would say she was embarrassing herself. He wanted her to shrink because her growth reminded him of his own moral weakness. Evelyn listened once. Then she began refusing to participate. She set boundaries. She limited contact. She let the legal process proceed. She stopped explaining herself. She stopped arguing with his version of reality. This is wisdom. Wisdom is knowing when a conversation is not a bridge but a trap. Years passed. Evelyn became a doctor. Not because life became easy, but because she did not quit. Her hands learned skill. Her mind learned precision. Her heart learned a deeper compassion because she had been broken and rebuilt. She was especially gentle with patients who felt ashamed. She understood that shame can make people hide symptoms. She understood that pain often arrives with silence. Her work became her dignity. And here is the moment where people love to say she destroyed them all. But what does destruction mean in a karmic story told with wisdom? If destruction means cruelty, humiliation, and revenge, then the story becomes poison. If destruction means exposing lies, ending exploitation, and refusing to let harm continue, then destruction becomes liberation. Evelyn did not become a person who needed to harm others to feel powerful. She became a person who refused to be harmed silently. When she finally had financial stability again through her work, she used it to secure her independence. She ensured fair legal outcomes. She corrected false narratives where necessary. With evidence, without drama, she helped others in the community with medical care and advocacy. She became visible in a way that made it impossible for Gregory to keep telling the story that she was nothing. That visibility was his consequence. Because the worst consequence for a person who depends on controlling narratives is losing the ability to control them. Gregory's professional reputation began to crack. Not because Evelyn spread rumors, but because his behavior created patterns. People noticed. Colleagues saw dishonesty. Partners saw manipulation. Friends saw the way he discarded loyalty. And over time, the same charm that once covered his selfishness became thin. Charm cannot forever hide character. This is karma. Karma is not lightning. Karma is the slow exposure of pattern. Clara eventually left him. Not because she became a saint, but because she became exhausted. The relationship that began as thrill turned into mistrust. The same man who promised her a special story repeated the same lies. Gregory found himself older, alone, and haunted not by Evelyn's revenge, but by his own emptiness. He had traded depth for thrill, loyalty for ego, and now he had neither. One day, he tried to contact Evelyn again. He spoke with a softer voice, the voice of someone whose options have narrowed. He said he missed her steadiness. He said he regretted how things happened. He said he wanted forgiveness. Evelyn listened. This was the final test. Not a test of whether she would take him back. A test of whether she would let bitterness own her. She said something that took him by surprise. She said, "I forgive you for my own peace. But forgiveness is not reunion. I will not return to a life where my dignity depends on your mood." Gregory asked, "What changed you?" Evelyn answered, "I stopped confusing sacrifice with love." That sentence contains the whole story. Sacrifice can be love when it is mutual and chosen freely. Sacrifice becomes suffering when it is demanded or exploited. Evelyn had been exploited. Now she was awake. Now let me bring the story to you. Because the reason stories like this spread is that many people feel trapped in old identities. They feel too old to start over. They feel too loyal to leave. They feel too ashamed to admit betrayal. They feel too exhausted to rebuild. Evelyn's story offers a few truths that are not comfortable, but are liberating. Betrayal reveals what was already true. People who rewrite reality to protect ego are dangerous to your peace. Clarity is kinder than denial. Revenge can feel like power, but it poisons the one holding it. Boundaries are not cruelty. They are compassion with wisdom. Rebirth is not about becoming younger in years. It is about becoming freer in spirit. Learning is a form of healing because it turns pain into purpose. The deepest karma is not what happens to them. It is what happens to you when you choose what to feed. If you have been betrayed, you do not need to turn into stone. You can remain soft and still be strong. Softness is not submission. Softness is the ability to feel without becoming cruel. Strength is the ability to protect your dignity without needing to humiliate others. That is awakening. If you have ever been the one who betrayed, the lesson is also here. Harm does not stay outside you. It reshapes you. It trains your mind in dishonesty. Dishonesty makes you anxious. It makes you suspicious. It makes you lonely. The real punishment is not external. The real punishment is the inner life you create. But change is possible. Change begins with accountability. Not excuses. Not complicated stories. Accountability. It is hard, but it is the only way out. Now I want to close with the most important emotional truth in this story. Evelyn did not rebuild because she became cold. She rebuilt because she became clear. Clarity protected her from becoming consumed by bitterness, and compassion protected her from becoming cruel. She did not destroy them by attacking. She destroyed the power they had over her by refusing to remain small. That is the wisest form of justice. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Do you believe betrayal always has to turn into hatred? Or can it become a doorway into wisdom? Have you ever had to rebuild an identity after someone tried to rewrite your story? What helped you choose dignity without becoming bitter? If you want to support this channel, please subscribe, like the video, and leave a comment so more people can find stories that turn pain into practice rather than pain into poison. Closing words for tonight. May your heartbreak become clarity rather than bitterness. May your anger become boundaries rather than cruelty. May your compassion include yourself. May your wisdom guide your next steps. May your actions plant good karma through honesty and steadiness. And may your destiny become lighter each time you choose rebirth over revenge.